Turn your wounds into wisdom. That quote is by Oprah, and this is Anne Margaret with Raise a Vibration. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. Today is the winter solstice, the shortest day and longest night of the year. And today is a perfect day with this darkness pervading the longest night to be able to take a look at the things that have really challenged us this year and use those things, whether it be cancer, whether it be some deep pain, emotional, physical, mental, even spiritual pain, a death in our lives, an injustice, loneliness, rejection, depression, stress. I know these are not really sexy topics to talk about this morning, but in looking at them and their role in our lives this year, we'll find more healing, allowing those wounds to truly heal us. Hi, guys. Thanks so much for joining. All right. So at the beginning here, we're going to talk a little bit about, it's going to be about 15 minutes long. So I hope you can join me for the full reflection on this today. And if not, you can always watch it later. But at the end, I'll give you some tips and takeaways for today and also for the last less than 2 weeks of the year. So get comfortable. If you have something to write with or you want to write something down in a journal during this, it might be worth it, because sometimes when we get these insights and we don't write them down, we lose them. So get comfortable, get in a place that you can jot a few things down, and let's begin. One of the most beautiful humans that has influenced me in this life is a woman named Debbie Ford. She's no longer with us, but she was such an incredibly bright spirit, and bright because she embraced the shadow. She embraced the darkness. I don't mean evil, although that sometimes will give the name of these things, we'll name these things evil things. But these are aspects of ourselves, of others, of just being human and going through this life, things that are not pleasant, that we have to experience. And Debbie Ford, she has amazing, amazing books. I met her in person in San Diego, thanks to my friend Mary, and just was an incredible teacher about how to do this. So I just wanted to start with a quick quote from her book, Dark Side of the Light Chasers. This book was introduced to me because I'm a huge fan of Alanis Morissette, and she said that this was her favorite book in an interview I heard maybe like 16, 17 years ago. And so I had to get it and read it and just see what book changed her life so deeply. So I highly recommend it. I've underlined and highlighted, and you'll want to read it more than once, but she has a lot of great books to go into this side of things, to have the courage to shine that flashlight in all of the really dark, gross, ugly, unattractive places that we would rather avoid. But if we're avoiding them, which a lot of us do through distraction, through work, through eating, through addiction, then we don't truly gain access to the fullness of who we are in the light aspects as well. So she says our opinions of ourselves are the most important opinions. If we go through this life and we are not really cultivating a sense of self-preservation and loving the epitome, the fullness of who we are, then we're missing out if we're looking to somebody else for that validation of who we are, whether it be from our work, from our parents, from our siblings, from our spouse or our kids. Then we really get trapped in this cycle of self-loathing because it's never going to be enough. I know you know what I mean by that. I know that you all connect to that in some way, because this really truly is an earth school being here. We're learning constantly, so it can always feel like it's never enough, especially when we're inundated with messages of inadequacy so that we will purchase something out there. That is the whole purpose of advertising, isn't it? To have us think that we are not enough without this product or service. So the most important opinions of ourselves is the one that we have of ourselves, okay, not from other people. And she says, when we can lovingly hold all of these traits, and she means the super unattractive ones, like the really impatient, dominating part of ourselves, the fearful part, the one shaking in our boots with our knees knocking because we're so afraid of what's to come and the fullness of who we are, the beauty, the power, what Marianne Williamson so beautifully shares too, of like, ours is not to play small, really embracing the fullness of our power as well, to embody our ultimate possibility of being human, like our full expression of our spirit. So when we can lovingly hold all of these traits, the light and the dark, and you know I love archetypes, we'll get there towards the end of this. When we can lovingly hold all of these traits together in one hand without judgment, just loving it fully, accepting it fully without judgment, they will naturally integrate into our system, into the fullness of ourselves. Then we can take off our masks and trust that the universe created each of us with design, with divine design. So taking off these masks, these things that we have to put on in order to show the world. What I even put on makeup today, that's a mask. So taking off the mask of the makeup that we put on throughout our day, in the identity who we're being, that we have to be super serious or we're not going to get taken seriously, or we have to put up this really strong barrier so we don't get taken advantage of, to really release these masks that we've put on to protect ourselves, and instead feeling empowered by the divine design that has been implanted in each one of us by God, the creator, however you relate to that energy. So then we can take off our masks and trust that the universe created each of us with divine design. Then we can stand tall, embracing the world within. We can understand how to be compassionate with other people. She so beautifully teaches about compassion as well. If we don't recognize that killer instinct within us, or the one who wants to destroy or even harm others, sometimes we're filled with such anger and rage that we want to harm others, or we want to harm ourselves, or kind of destroy, have that Shiva energy of just the destroyer. And then if we can recognize that within ourselves, then it doesn't come out and hurt other people. It doesn't come out unconsciously and react to people, to circumstances, to unjust, all these things that I listed in the description, cancer. We can allow those things to be in our lives as teachers and integrate them so that we can more fully be at peace. What are we striving for? Are we striving to have this human experience be without this darkness? Today on the winter solstice, we're reminded that this darkness is a part of being human. And the beautiful symbol from Taoism, the yin yang symbol, shows us that in that black little swivel of energy, there's that little white circle. And then in the swivel of white, there's that little black circle, reminding us of the fullness of what we have within ourselves and without ourselves, outside of ourselves as well. And when we can more fully embrace the fullness of that, then we can be more patient with our children, with our parents, with our siblings, with our spouse, with ourselves, with our coworkers, with our friends, and with these diseases that come into our lives. I want to give a shout out to my friend Kelly Queso, who also went through our teacher training in New York City. And she shared a beautiful post today on the winter solstice, of course, that 1 year ago, she received her breast cancer diagnosis. And beautifully, 1 year later, she's doing really well. She's doing really, really well. And I'm so excited for her. And I know a lot of you watching are either struggling with cancer yourself, or you have someone in your life who is struggling with it. And I also want to give a shout out to my beautiful friend, Laura Shakti, who received the same news about 1.5 years ago and is at the end of her life right now. And that every single day is a true gift. And these two women struggling with this disease in very different ways, with very different outcomes right now, are going through the darkness. And I'm sure many of you, even if you're not going through that same struggle yourself, it's very painful. It can be very upsetting to watch those in our lives go through these things, whether it be cancer, whether it be depression, whether it be some sort of injustice in our lives. And how do we take whatever it is in our lives that is truly painful and integrate that? What does that mean, integrate it? It means stop resisting it. It's happening. It's there. If you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling anxious, especially during this time of year, instead of masking it or pushing it down or trying to distract yourself or working so you don't have to face it, integrating it means pausing and being here in this winter solstice today, this darkness. And I even painted my nails dark today. Woo! To be able to, you gotta integrate the fun stuff too, right? Because it can be really tough to be with those things and say, what is this teaching me? What is this teaching me? What is this teaching my family? How is this bringing more light into my life by having the shadow as well? Because anybody knows that if you look at a painting without the shadow, it's very dull. And if you think about our lives, without these painful things, without these things that we go through, so that I know Laura Shakti right now, she's sharing with us that every single day is a miracle. And she wakes up and she sees the sunrise and it is beautiful. And she's able to be so present with the loved ones in her life. What a gift. We are all going to die. Sorry if it's news for you, but we all are. And this is an inevitable thing that is coming. And the more we can be, this is what my book is all about. This is what I teach. This is what it's all about, is that the more we can fully embrace our mortality, the more fully we can embrace the gift that is our life. The more fully we can embrace the parts of ourselves that really have struggled in this life, that really have come out and destroyed parts of our lives, or been gross at times, or we're not proud of. Those specific parts of our lives are what color and make the light so beautiful. Okay, so before I give you some oil tips, let's pull an archetype card. Perfect for today. So with the equinoxes that happen in the spring and the fall, we know that the light of the day is equal to the light of the night. So it's an amazing time to really explore balance in our lives. But today it's really critical, and during this period of darkness that we're going through, to recognize how that darkness is really impacting our lives in a beautiful way. That's really challenging. So let's pull an archetype card. And the archetypes, if you don't really work with them as often, they are, there's a light and a shadow aspect to each one of them. And you don't have to get too complicated and let it intimidate you. It's just looking at, when is it good to, let's pull a card and see what it is. Ooh, the Lover. Okay, so the Lover, when is it good to have these archetypes play out in our lives? And then when are they controlling us in a negative way? And in my life, I'm looking at so many beautiful things right now that are also very painful, of going, where have I been? Where have I not seen how I've been in my life and allowed that way of being to hurt me? And what I've been seeing too is an imbalance of Lover, really. So, this is really beautiful for me to pull, but also, how does this apply to you in your life? So the Lover is, the light attributes are great passion and devotion, unbridled appreciation of someone or something. So for me, it's like so passionate, so like wanting just to give love, but also recognizing when it's important to say, well, who am I directing that energy to? Who is worthy of that love? Who is reciprocating in a symbiotic exchange for that love? That's really important, because the shadow aspects, shadow attributes, obsessive passion that harms others or harms yourself, self-destructive devotion. So really feeling overly devoted to someone or something or some cause or purpose in your life, and you're not taking care of yourself, or going, is this a balanced exchange? Not really. Why do I keep giving to this person? Okay, that's a very good archetype to pull today, with the balance of that light and dark. Okay, quick, we'll do a goddess card too of pulling this for today. And thank you guys all for joining me. I love seeing your names pop up here. And then, before I do that, let's pull a goddess card. Woo, 2 pulled out today. Okay, so we have to look. All right, so Pele, this is the one that jumped out at me, so I'm going to focus on this one. Divine passion. Be honest with yourself. What's your heart's true desire? It's the same thing. What are you spending your energy on? Are you spending your energy on resisting or making something wrong, or accepting it? It's a really good card for today. I'll put it in the notes. And lastly, I want to say, I put this in the notes too, peace. Many of you really struggle during this time. I put this on like crazy, peace, like rubbing it oil on or diffusing it. So peace is a great one. I've also put a few other ones to integrate today. So you all, thank you so much for joining me. Love to all of you. Thank you. And until next time, keep raising the vibration. Happy winter solstice.